Okay, I'm going to open the meeting for the Port of Bellingham Board of Commission meeting, special meeting, public hearing on moving from 3 to 5 commissioners for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Commissioner roll call, Commissioner Briscoe.
Here.
Commissioner Shepard.
Here.
Commissioner Bell is here. Today's public hearing is for discussion of a redistricting plan. As we do with all Port Commission meetings, if anybody's got something they want to say in front of the commission, now's the time to do it that is not related to what's on the agenda. Feel free to say anything you might want to say. Assuming that there won't be any, we'll then move to the commission redistricting plan and the public comment. So with that, we will just...
Do we start early, Tamara?
Elliot Smith. All right, this redistricting plan is being conducted after Whatcom County voters approved an expansion of the Port Commission from 3 to 5 members, each representing one of 5 newly drawn districts. As stated in the Port's published notice of public hearing, the draft redistricting purposes of the 5 Port Commissioner districts will have the same boundaries as the 5 existing Whatcom County Council districts. The structure of this hearing will be staff presentation, followed by a public discussion and the commission discussion. And with that, we will go to the staff portion of our program.
Thank you, Commissioner. Tiffany DeSimone, Interim Executive Director. I'm happy to see all of the policy wonks in the room, and probably there are more wonkier than I am, so I hope I can do this justice. I want to start by saying in the back of the room there is a draft. It's a draft resolution that's available for you to look through, not to presume that we know what the public would like to say or what decisions the commission would like to make, but to give us sort of a basic starting point for any public discussion. We are no action required today. This is a public hearing, so I'll start off with a brief presentation on redistricting. Brief history, very quick. The RCW 5312 establishes the number of port commissioners. As I was doing a little research on this presentation, something interesting about the 75 public port districts in Washington state are there are currently only 6 that have 5 commissioners. The rest are 3 commissioners. Maybe you all know that already. The 6 will be 7. The 6 are Tacoma, Seattle, Olympia, Port of Edmonds, Port of Orcas, and Port of Anacortes. So we would be the 7th. Our port formed in 1920 with 3 port districts and 3 commissioners. Those port districts followed Whatcom County Council districts 1, 2, and 3, and our commissioners are elected to a 4-year term. Currently, our district looks like this. I'm going to use, if it's okay with the commission, first names. It's just easier than the mouthful of commissioners and commissioner-elects coming up. So Michael is in District 1, Ken in District 2 currently, and in Port District 3 is Bobby Briscoe. This is what those districts look like. As we move to 5 commissioners. In 1979, 2 districts were added to Whatcom County Council districts, so there are 5 council members. In 2026, the voters voted to add 2 new port districts, and so the Port of Bellingham will move to 5 commissioners. The ports, the redistricting plan that I'm proposing or starting with today would follow Whatcom County district boundaries. Going to use boundaries and numbers differently. Try to make this as clear as possible. So these are the current Whatcom County Council districts. I'm going to just draw your attention to Whatcom County District 5 and Whatcom County District 3. I'll go back to that map probably a couple times. So until the next election, commissioners must reside in new port districts 1, 2, and 3, based on the RCW, And so recommending that switching Whatcom County districts 3 and 5 to Port districts 5 and 3, essentially just swapping those two districts, would keep Commissioner Briscoe's residency in the current Port District 3 and Newport District 3. Commissioner Shepard currently resides in Port District 1. Somebody shout out if I'm getting this wrong. But after redistricting, he would reside in Newport District 2. Commissioner-elect James currently resides in Port District 2. And after redistricting, she will remain in Newport District 2. So after redistricting, question? Sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Commissioner Briscoe?
Okay, I reside in my new district would be 5. I reside in District 5 now, so I don't reside in the new 3.
That's correct.
In County District 3, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's okay. You said it the other way around, so we're okay.
Okay, are we, okay. Okay, after redistricting and in January 2026, 2 commissioners will reside in the same district. Commissioner James and Commissioner Shepard will reside in Port District 2. We're gonna talk about that upcoming. So this map is what staff would propose following the county council district boundaries, but switching Whatcom County District 3 and 5 to Port District 5 and 3.
So to be more clear, in County Council District, right now, District 5 is numbered number 5. We would change that to number 3.
Port District 3.
And the same for District 3 is now number 5 as far as the port is concerned.
Yes.
And just a point of clarification, that is because we have a commissioner currently residing in 3. They must stay in 3. So we'll be swapping the numbers. That does not mean that that cannot be reversed at a later date by a future commission. And the numbers go back to the county council numbers at some point. Is that true?
Go ahead, Holly.
That's something that we would have to take a look at, but without getting too wonky, as Tiffany says, ports are creatures of statute, they're creations of statute, and they only have the powers that are authorized by statute. I'm not aware of any county, city with wards, port district, or anything else that have kind of renumbered after they've numbered them the first time. And I think that we can talk about this a little bit more as Tiffany's presentation continues, because I think there have been some concerns about perhaps voter confusion. And I think switching the numbers at a later date or attempting to switch the numbers, assuming the port has the authority to do so, would create more confusion than it resolves.
I forgot I was going to start my presentation before I showed any of these maps by everybody raising their hand saying to see if you know what county council district you're in. But this is kind of a weird crowd. And I mean that in a positive way, an involved crowd. So after redistricting, because Commissioner Shepard and Commissioner-elect James would be in the same districts, those commissioners must draw lots to decide which one will run for the available commissioner districts in the next election. So we would do that at the December 16th meeting.
And is that Commissioner-elect James and I are drawing lots, or Commissioner Bell?
Commissioner Bell, apologies,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Yeah.
Because as of December 16th,
Commissioner
Bell is still in office.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. So what the change means, I think it's been discussed multiple times. The transition from a 3 to 5 member would start after the 2026 elections. It's designed to improve representation, increase flexibility. Some argue it enhances transparency and responsiveness to a growing and changing community. There are some costs that will incur with this, and it's a significant shift in how the port will govern. So that's the end of my presentation. Are there any clarifying questions that either myself or Holly can answer? And if not, I'm done.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yeah, I do have one. Can you bring back up the 3 to 5, Tiffany, your map you had there?
This one?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it yet on my screen. Still, I see Ken and Michael, but hasn't switched over to you
Oh.
for some reason.
Who
There we
switches?
go.
Okay.
So, question for Holly, I guess it would be, why, why wouldn't, so I think I know why, but I've got to ask why. Why would we not make these numbers exactly the same as the county and just move, my number would be 5 instead of 3? Why wouldn't we do that now and do away with the confusion it's going to create and just get it out of the way now? Is there a law that prohibits us from doing that?
Yes.
Or can we just mirror what's there and change my number? Why would there be a problem?
There's an RCW that deals with Port Commission redistricting, and what it specifically says is that the incumbent commissioners, when you expand from 3 to 5, the 3 incumbents shall reside in commissioner districts 1, 2, and 3. And then there's an additional section that deals with drawing of lots, as we have here when you have 2 commissioners or a commission-elect and a commissioner who overlap. But in any event, 1, 2, and 3 need to have existing commissioners, and then commissioner districts 4 and 5 will be the essentially new commissioner positions. It's just a requirement of law. I believe it's probably because, for ease of reading it, certain things happen with commissioner districts 4 and 5, and it's not necessarily 4, and it's not necessarily 5, and I don't want to lose the people in the audience. It's, a little bit after lunch, and, you can get kind of, this can be boring for some people. I enjoy it. But basically, with 4 and 5, you have the winner, whoever gets the most votes between 4 and 5, then their term is different. And so if we say, if the statute was written a different way and it allowed the Port Commission to number any 3 spots for the incumbents, it would be extremely confusing to track what are the terms of the other 2 remaining positions? What numbers are they? Who has a longer term? Who has a shorter term? So I think for ease of reading, that's why the legislature has kept that language. But in any event, it's very clearly a shall. There's actually some case law out there involving a different type of jurisdiction where there was some redistricting that was happening, and I believe it was a Port Commission. They redistricted and they didn't have evenly numbered populations in all of the districts, and they were doing it, the commission was doing it out of an attempt to be fair to all of the voters, and the court said it doesn't matter why the commission does it, they don't have the right to overrule statute. When the statute says shall for redistricting, you shall follow it, and the court basically annulled the entire redistricting process in that one. So we don't want that sort of thing to happen here for, as Tiffany was saying, folks who don't actually even know what county council district they live in or what port district they live in, for the most part. This room excluded from that. Most people, they get a ballot in the mail and they vote on that ballot. They don't question whether the numbers align or they don't align.
Okay, well, geez, here I was all ready to buck the current and just do it, but I guess we can't just do it, huh?
I asked the same question and got the exact same answer in written form, I believe.
Well, it's good that we're consistent.
Okay, well, that was my only question, is the why we just didn't get it out of the way in the beginning, but it's what it is. So 5 will become 3 and 3 will become 5, correct?
Yeah, that's what we're proposing here. So this is kind of a 2-part process. One is, as Tiffany said, the redistricting itself. Where should the new lines be drawn? And using the county council districts is the most efficient. The port had an expert come in and take a look at the county boundaries down to the precinct level to make sure it complied with the Voting Rights Act, which it does. So question 1 is, does the Port Commission want to use the county council district lines? And then question 2 is, how do we want to go about numbering them? Because we've gotten through, I think, the Commissioner District 3 issue with you, Commissioner Briscoe, and then we have to talk about 1 and 2, because we know where Commissioner District, presumably 2 would be, right? And it makes sense for Commissioner District 1 to stay aligned with County Council District 1. But those are 2 separate questions, really. 1, where to draw the lines, and 2, what gets numbered what. And we've put it all together into kind of one proposal.
And I think now we'll go to some public comment. I think that would be best. And as part of this public comment, just keep in mind, commissioners are free during this public comment period to express opinions and to have questions of our own answered. So it is a wide open public comment period. And with that being said, we'll start with the number 1. That is Dan Tucker, who got a haircut for today.
Good afternoon, Port Commission. Dan Tucker and Working Waterfront Coalition. I do want to say that I appreciate the districts being drawn along the county lines. I think from our membership, we have heard by and large that is what they desire. As for the numbering, I do think that the least amount of numbers you can change, the more that you can make them align, will just be better. Even if it's not for the public benefit when someone's looking at their ballot, if they're not taking note of it, at least for those of us who do track these sorts of things to keep things straight in our head, the less we can change. I think the easier it makes it for those of us who do track that sort of thing. But outside of that, a lot of my questions were just answered, so I don't have anything else.
Okay, John Servais.
It's a good day. It's been 30-some years trying to get here. Holly, you don't have to worry about being too wonky. This room is behind me. It's got Port Commission candidates all over the place. We're into the numbers. I came from an eye doctor appointment, so I can't read the resolution. My question is, it hasn't been touched on, is the primaries. Will they be district only?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was one of my questions. I didn't see it here in the resolution either, and I was wondering if that is appropriate to put that in the resolution, that we expect to follow the same procedure of candidates must be from the geographic district that they want to represent. That's how they can run for office. That the primary is district-only voting, which is how we currently conduct our elections. And then the general election is countywide.
And that is tracking with state law as well. So if that's something that you would like explicit in the resolution, just so it's clear to everyone what that process will look like, we can certainly add that in there. That's why we have the draft resolution. It was intended to be just that. So if that's something, that the direction we are receiving from the commission, happy to add that in there.
So it sounds like that would be somewhat redundant, but it would be kind of aligned with some of the comment we're hearing.
Redundant is good.
Questions we're hearing.
So you,
Redundant is okay.
Redundant is good.
clarifying the state law would be important, is what you're saying.
Well, just what we're doing and what's in the resolution, and we know from elections and the charter review commissions, 2 of them, that the people of Whatcom County, in particular in the rural areas, prefer district-only voting as much as they possibly can. And I know the RCW does not allow us to have district-only voting in the general for port commissioners. That's fine. That's for a later time. But yeah, to have it in there, I would really, I think it would be well felt and well appreciated by the people.
Good feedback.
Other than that, I'm very pleased that we're going with the county districts. I understand the numbering system is illegal. Perhaps our state legislators can get a law changed a little bit in the next year, and when the 5 commissioners take their offices, they'll take them in November of 26, but by January 27, maybe they can then adjust the line so that the numbers are exactly the same. That's the best we can. Having District 4 the same as it is now is a big step. That's the Linden area. That'll stay 4 all the way through, and 2 and 1 do. So this has been a good day, and I hope that if that clause can be put in about that we're good. And it's what we've wanted for a long, long time. Thank you.
John, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You spoke to something there that I wanted some clarification on for future you're talking about maybe. Unless I misunderstood what you said, we're going to talk later about changing it to the entire county can vote in the primaries? Is that what you said?
No,
Did
the
I misunderstand
opposite.
you?
The opposite, no.
Okay.
That perhaps someday, but it's a question for the people of the county to decide one way or another, that the general could also be by district only. just as the county council right now is primary, is by district, and the general is by district, except for the two at large. So that's what I was speaking of. No,
Okay.
being more local, more strictly in the district is better.
Okay.
I'll throw out, just for gratuitous, because we have political junkies here, I just think it would be cool that so long as the candidate lives in the Port District, that is, say, in the Whatcom County, that it should be the freedom of any district to select who they want, no matter where they live, if we really want to choose our own representatives. But that's for 20 years or 30 years from now.
So see, and I kind of go the opposite way because I have trouble with people moving into a district 5 months before they sign up to hold office somewhere. And I think my opinion, there should be some kind of length thing maybe written in that you have to live in each district or whatever district you want to represent for a certain amount of time, not just a couple of weeks or a few months before you run for office in that area, because we see a lot of things going on in our political system that people jump around and really it's not true representation from the area they're running in. So, okay, that's all I have.
And for the policy wonks in the room, and for Commissioner Briscoe, also, the statute used to require that. There used, back in the day, probably around maybe when it was first enacted, or maybe in the 20s, I'm not sure when the amendment occurred, but you had to be a resident for a certain number, 5 or 6 months, something like that, before you were a qualified candidate. So you're not wrong, it's just changed over time.
So who changed that? Did the legislature change that, or is that done by the port?
No, the legislature changed that at the state level.
Okay, very good, thanks.
So we'll see you 30 years from now, John, when. Next is Sasha.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, Paul Myers?
No.
We-
Question too. Thank you.
Okay, anyone in the audience wishing to give comment? Oh, the guy he's calling the political junkie. He keeps pointing to you and saying political junkie. What's
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Todd Legacy here as a private citizen. One thing I had a question on, or I wanted to point out, is in the fourth whereas clause, and maybe I'm just not tracking on this, but in the fourth whereas clause, at the very last word of the first sentence there, it says two, and that you're going to hold an election to fill the 2 additional commissioner positions. But as I do the math, at the end of 2026, if you only have a vote for 2 additional commissioners, then there would only be 4 commissioners on there. Because unless Ken Bell is sticking around like a bad habit.
I was going to be nice to you.
That's the only, I don't understand the transition. If you're only electing 2 people in 2026 and you have 2 commissioners that live in the same district, and one of them has indicated he's not going to seek re-election, then I don't understand where the other person, the 5th commissioner, is coming from.
So when that person vacates that office, a new person is appointed to that seat to fill the term, if that should be the case.
But which seat? Because they both live in the same.
We'll determine that by lot next
Okay.
week. So by lot next week, we will determine who takes seat 2 and seat 1.
Gotcha. Okay,
And when
thank
that
you.
lot is drawn, wherever they go, if one of them chooses not to continue, then that seat will be filled by the 2 remaining commissioners.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Or if the remaining commissioners can't come to agreement, then the county council fills that seat.
That's a correct statement.
Correct.
Yep. If they can't come to terms on that filling of that seat, it does go to county council. Anyone else wishing to speak? Feel free. It's a public comment.
Go to the mic so we can get it on record.
Dan Tucker, Working Waterfront again. Just to follow up on that same discussion point, how would the commission come about choosing that person? I guess is the next follow-up that I have that.
So I'm getting one commissioner looking towards, okay, now both of you. Okay, I don't want to jump on anyone's toes. There's a
ahead,
whole
Holly.
process for filling vacancies in the statute. And so basically what happens is there is if I like how we're not talking about anyone in particular today. If, say, someone who has already won their election decided they didn't want to take their oath, or they didn't want to serve for whatever reason for the entire term, they would resign and they would have a resignation date. And so if someone were to, they could issue their resignation today, but it may not be effective for however many months, days, weeks down the road. Or it could be that's it, I'm done, here's my resignation. Today's the last day. Whatever that effective date is, once they have resigned, then the remaining commissioners may essentially nominate candidates from that spot. So let's just say, where we're talking about, just for fun, Port of Bellingham Commissioner District 5. Let's say this is one of the new commissioners, and they come on, and they decide this is not what they thought it was going to be, and they're out after a year. So then the remaining commissioners would need to appoint someone who resides in that Commissioner District 5. And then once that appointment occurs, or a nomination really, then the port puts out a public notice. It's in the newspaper, it's on the port's website, and there is a 15-day, essentially like a little filing period almost. So other folks can nominate people, people can put their own hats in. They have to be qualified voters, so they must be a resident of that particular commissioner district. And then the commissioners, so the remaining commissioners, will decide, and just like they would vote on any other resolution, by motion, second, voting. If they can't do that within the statutory period, as Commissioner Briscoe alluded to, then that decision goes to the county council. And if the county council can't figure it out, then the governor gets to appoint someone. But there is a process that it's all laid out.
As though this weren't hard enough. Carly James, would you like to?
Anybody like to throw any more wrenches in this process?
My question is about Newport District 4 and 5, or 4 and 5, and selecting the term length for those commissioners. Mm-hmm. And then also understanding, so this election, District 1 and 2 were up. So how will the districts be spread out over the election cycle?
You know that I'm going to start with, this is already set out in statute, right? Like,
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I missed it somewhere.
No, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be snarky at all. I always feel bad when I'm telling you guys something, and it's like, well, I don't make the rules, I just read them and interpret them. So, but there is a process set forth in the statute with regard to those two new positions, which is what I was saying about why the numbering is likely the way it is written. So for Commissioner Districts 4 and 5, you'll have candidates that are running, maybe you'll need a primary, maybe you won't, that are living in those physical areas, those geographic areas. Then after the general election in November, we'll know which of the winners of 4 and the winner of 5, who got the most votes. So it's actually almost like a competition between those two commissioner districts. So whichever of the winner of 4 or the winner of 5, whoever got the most votes, they get a 3-year term. Whoever got the second most votes, they only get a 1-year term. And they don't get to pick who's who. It really has to do with how many votes they end up earning in the election.
In the general.
Yeah, so we don't know yet whether 4 or 5 will be the 3-year or the 1-year, right?
Okay, and question if I can interrupt you. So it has to be an odd number of years for these people because it's coming in off cycle?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And so that way, what will happen is those two new positions will align with the odd numbered port commission cycle. So they'll still, after that first wonky 3 or 1 year term, after that, what will happen is all of the commissioners will have 4-year, or those positions, I should say, will have 4-year election cycles. So that's why they have a weird 1 year and 3 year, and then they get aligned with the odd numbered years. So some years you're gonna have 3 commissioners positions up for election, and the others you'll have 2. But we don't know yet whether it will be 4 or 5 aligned with the shorter or the longer.
Got it. Yeah. And there's no way for that shorter one to be any longer because the term maximum is 5 years or 4 years.
Right. Again, it's the statute says if of those 2 new commissioner districts, if you aren't the lead vote getter, you only get the shorter district. But they won't know until the votes are all counted who that is.
Okay. Yeah, my concern is just the tremendous time commitment and expense to being a candidate and only getting that short term. But I suppose I'm not going to worry about that because it's the limitation of this process. So we're in this transitional moment. It's imperfect, but leading us to hopefully a more perfect feeling world.
I think that's a lovely way of putting it, that it's an imperfect process, and we're doing the best we can to fit the Port of Bellingham within that imperfect process and doing it as smoothly as we can for the voters.
Okay, thank
And when
you.
you think about it logically, there is no other way to get everybody back on the cycle without that short term to get them into the 2 and 4 year cycle. So. And I say too, for the political junkies in the room, if you're going to run, you know the rules. Right? You know, we've been very clear about setting this up.
Craig Cooper. It's clear as mud to me, but maybe other people have the same feelings. But can you run a couple different scenarios of where Michael and Carly draw straws, and Michael he gets the number 1 spot, Carly gets the 2, and then flip those, and then see how that works for different appointments and how that goes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to steal the
Go for
thunder
it.
from the
No, you-
16th. And I just have to put as an aside, I don't want to insert myself in the narrative, but it's the one port meeting I'm going to miss in I don't know how many years because I have a commitment, and I'm really bummed about it because there's going to be a really great process where there's actually going to be a coin that's flipped. And so, I'm not kidding. So that's how the lots will be drawn. The way that we're setting it up is that first the commission will vote on a redistricting plan. So the boundary lines and the numbers will both be set. That's what this draft resolution is about. So that will be voted upon, and we'll know where 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are, where the lines are. Then the next step will be the drawing of lots, which will be, we've just arbitrarily decided Commissioner Shepard should be the person to call essentially heads or tails. And Tiffany will, I think, be the MC of that, and will be kind of stating the rules. If anybody watches NFL or soccer or anything like that, you know that they say, okay, I'm going to flip the coin. I want you to call it. You get to call it. No one's going to touch it. It flips. Hopefully it doesn't roll under a chair and get sideways or something like that. There are all kinds of permutations. We're just assuming it's going to be a normal coin flip. So let's say Commissioner Shepard, he's the one who gets to choose. If he selects heads, and by golly, it's heads.
It's anchors and airplanes is the
Anchors and
coin.
airplanes. There you go. Anchors and airplanes. So if I don't want to say. I'm just going to say heads and tails. I don't want to bias his choice. So let's say he says heads, and it turns out it's heads. Then he gets to decide if he wants to represent Port District 1 or Port District 2. And then Commissioner Bell / Commissioner-elect James will represent the other one. If he chooses heads and it's tails, then Commissioner Bell, he's technically the winner of the coin flip. He gets to decide whether he represents Commissioner District 2 or Commissioner District 1. And then Commissioner-elect James will follow in that same spot, with Commissioner Shepard being in the other. Is that heads or tails, 1 or 2? Whoever wins gets to pick.
Then he decides to do something else with his time.
Right.
Good. For hypothetical.
Hypothetically, yeah.
You keep going with that?
Yeah, so if he were to choose, he flips the coin, he wins, he decides he wants to represent Port District 1. Then if he were to do something else with his time, and we talk about that vacancy with the resignation, then people who reside in Port District number 1 can be nominated to fill that position. If he had chosen District number 2, or if Commissioner Bell chooses District number 1 for himself, that by default gives Commissioner Shepard District number 2. If he were to vacate the office, then it would be someone who resides within Port Commission District number 2 that can fill that spot.
Okay.
And it's for the remainder of the term.
A tool?
So my question is, what in the process, given the measure that passed in state law, is discretionary? Because I just want to understand what the commission is actually deciding between. Is there any optionality at all? And because I want to figure out, I want to be able to blame them for something afterwards. So just wanted to know what's discretionary in this process.
Would you mind clarifying for a little bit when you say the law that was passed at the state level?
Well, no, I mean, the initiative passed, and of course, there's state law, and you've created this mechanism for electing the 2 additional port commissioners. But I'm just curious, what are the options for them to choose from that you're presenting them?
Right. So we're only presenting them with the option of drawing the lines in alignment with the county council districts. To go back to your question, the law that was passed, or the resolution, was to expand from 3 to 5. What the commissioners have before them is, where will those lines be drawn? And what we have heard from public comment and from the commissioners themselves is they don't want to reinvent the wheel. They want to keep things easy for the voters. They don't want to make the county auditor's life very difficult. Instead, let's look at the county council lines. They were drawn that way for a reason, so they went ahead and verified that. So we don't have any other proposals. We didn't want to spend any money on other proposals that would really kind of be thrown out based on the direction that we were receiving from commission and the public.
And I'll answer your point directly. We don't have to adopt the county council lines. So is that discretionary? Yeah, we could have drawn those lines anywhere we wanted to, as long as they were, and we could have gone through a process. So the entire system would have been very different, as well as the coin flipping, and we could have drawn lines around all of our districts, so there wouldn't have been this transition. But we chose to keep the county council lines. So all of that is still in play, if you'd like to comment on it and say, hey, you guys are really being stupid by following the county council lines, but we don't believe that, so we gave the direction we'd like to follow the county council lines. So it was all in play as far as what is available to us. And the procedure would have been very different had we drawn the lines differently. We would not be here today talking about this. We'd be looking at different lines and population charts, and we wouldn't be talking about who's going to take 1 and 2. There wouldn't have been a coin flip. All of that would not have been in play had we not chosen the county council lines.
And it all would have been much more expensive.
And
Complicated.
timely.
And we might have gotten sued. We could have drawn them incorrectly that didn't align with, real data. Anybody else?
But thanks for not blaming us for anything, because God knows we haven't been blamed for anything.
Tip Johnson, I live in Bellingham. First, I'd like to address the bad habit thing. I've been impressed that Mr. Bell has been able to answer many of the questions asked here, and maybe he'll consider moving into one of the new districts, and then you would be like a bad habit. But I just want to go on record as saying, and I think this does, as Holly said, is pretty much in the statute, that the district-only primaries, greatly in favor of that for ease of access for people from the different areas in the county. And as far as the districts and the hodgepodge and the remuneration, I mean, I get it, and it'll probably work. I would really hope that in time we could have numerative conformity with the county so there is no confusion. And I guess as we were discussing it, I thought, gee, maybe the port has a legislative liaison that could go ask for either a legislative exemption or perhaps there's an administrative exemption to just pursue the idea that for a brief period of time, the district numbers are going to be different than they were for the elected commissioners, but it will serve the convenience and conformity of having unified district system. And that cost of going about doing it, that would have been a recurrent thing. Over and over again, you would have had to keep doing that expense. And if you can get complete conformity, even without the numerative conformity, you'll get that kind of free service from the county. So, but it'd be better if all the numbers were the same.
Thanks. Thank you. Anyone else switching? Dan? Tucker?
I think I know the answer to this question as well, but following up on the discussion for succession and moving into the following year's elections, can you just talk about, once the lots are drawn, let's say that both the current commissioners are going to be living in theoretical District Number 2, the person that is representing District 1, at the end of that term, what then happens? Just to have it on record. And then also, have you considered changing the name of this proposal to the Abbott-Costello proposal? They get it.
Who's in 2?
I think your first question would be who's in first, right? Yeah, so even though you'd have an outlier essentially, so a commissioner who does not reside within a particular commissioner district representing, let's say the person who lives in 2 is representing 1. We know that that will be a fact. They can only do that for this one term. So if both Commissioner-elect James and Commissioner Shepard decided that they wanted to run for Port Commission again, they would be running against each other because they both reside within Port Commissioner District 2, and there would be a whole new person running in Port Commissioner District 1 who resides within Port Commissioner District 1. So this is not there's not a long tail on this, it's just one election cycle.
Is there anyone online that wishes to weigh in? Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak before the commission on this public hearing? Okay, I think we can now close the public hearing. I do want to make an official motion to add another whereas to include the fact that we are primary only in the district and the general election is countywide. If we could add that, whereas by state statute, whatever.
Yep, noted, and I will circulate a draft resolution to the commissioners and to Tiffany by tomorrow.
You in agreement, Bobby?
I got to ask Holly now, do we need to take an official vote on that as a commission to add that?
No, because we're not voting, you're not voting on the resolution today. It's more giving legal direction in terms of what you'd like to see in that resolution. So when you do see the draft, if that's not what you're looking for, we can still make amendments if you'd like. So I think Commissioner Bell is probably just taking the temperature to make sure he's not out over his skis.
Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement, Ken, to add that.
Thank you.
So for clarification.
Thank you.
And at the next meeting, we will plan to adopt the resolution. The public will, of course, have an opportunity to provide additional comments. And, we have a pretty short window of time to make those comments into any changes. And so that's why we've tried to have the draft available for the public to see, to comment on, for us to have discussion on, and for things like this to happen where we want to see some edits before the next meeting. But we'll discuss this again and have a formal vote on the 16th.
So it appears as though we've exhausted everybody in their public comment, so we will now close the public hearing section.
If you don't mind, you're just closing the public hearing section. I think you probably want to close it after the commission discussion on it, because the whole meeting is just the hearing from just a Robert's Rules standpoint. It's your meeting.
This is a deer in the headlight look. What do you?
Do you have any more discussion, I think is what she's saying.
What I'm saying is if the commission would like to discuss this plan amongst themselves, I would recommend doing that before you close the public hearing.
Oh. I'm pretty sure I've discussed all I need to discuss.
I've discussed as well.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yep, I'm disgusted. We can go on.
So hold on, before you hit that gavel, the folks on this side of the room just want to be clear. So you like the resolution as drafted with the one edit proposed, and the exhibit to the resolution will be the draft redistricting plan with the proposed numbering that has been provided today.
The boundaries and the numbers.
Yes.
And one change in the resolution to,
Okay. Yep.
to include.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have something to say. I would like to thank staff for the effort they put in for clarifying this because at the last meeting, things were pretty confusing for everyone. The clarification done by staff as well as Holly was very helpful, and thank you for doing that. That's all I have.
And then the final note is that we will have a meeting on December 16th to finalize this. There will be a coin flip at the end in that meeting to determine the council districts. Please stay tuned and come back on the 16th for the final adoption.
And it will be at 4
I'm going to bring a double-sided quarter.
It will be at 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, meeting adjourned.